Hey guys, come on downstairs. I am officially changing the name of this series to the American Sports Landscape because we are going all across America looking at sports venues, and it just sounded better than sports venue tour. That sounded stupid. Alright, we left off last episode in Sacramento, California, and I was thinking about going up into Oregon, but instead I decided to head east over the Sierra Nevadas. We're going to make a stop in Reno to check out the University of Nevada. Then we're going to fly over Lake Tahoe, and we'll land at the south end of Lake Tahoe. That is the first leg of our Nevada trip. So we're taking off in Sacramento. It's the international airport, the executives wing, I guess you would call it, maybe the executive area of the Sacramento International Airport. Taking off from there, we're going to turn right. The mountains, the Sierra Nevadas, are out there a little ways, and they are so high that we actually end up doing a few, I don't know what you call them, loops. We basically fly in a circle to gain altitude over the top of a lake up here at the base of the Sierra Nevadas. But let's get there first. We are in Sacramento. So Southern California, Northern California were pretty intense. A lot of venues in a short amount of time. This episode will not be as long as those ones were. We only have 4 college and pro sports teams in the state of Nevada. At least major ones. So we did the circles. We got our altitude up. And now we are heading over the Sierra Nevadas. Looks like we actually got pretty well up there. We are at 15,600 feet. There is Lake Tahoe. At the end of this leg, we'll be landing at the south end of Lake Tahoe. And here is Reno, Nevada. So that was a pretty abbreviated trip over the Sierra Nevadas. Sure, the Donner Party would have wished it was that easy. Alright, Reno. The Nevada Wolfpack. The biggest little city in the world. Reno, Nevada. Here we go. University of Nevada. I don't know why I like Nevada so much. It's pretty barren, but I like it. I don't know. I think it's because it seems like there's a lot of area that just doesn't see a lot of people, I guess. I don't know. I'm an introvert, so maybe it just speaks to me that way. There's not a lot of people in most of Nevada. So here we are north of Reno. We flew over the city. The Sierra Nevadas are off to our right. And Lake Tahoe is basically up in those mountains above the nose of our aircraft. So we did a loop around Reno. Now we're coming back over to take a look at the venues. Starting with the football stadium. MACKEY Stadium. One of the more memorable games played there was when Colin Kaepernick beat Boise State back in, I want to say it was 2007. MACKEY Stadium right there. And then the round building is the LAWLOR Event Center. Nevada's had some pretty highly ranked teams over the years. I remember Nick Fazekas, Marcellus Kemp. Lots of good players have come through University of Nevada. We've had our share of slugfests with Nevada over the years at Utah State. Not a lot of love lost between the two teams. There's Circus down there. It's been there forever. Biggest little city in the world. Reno, Nevada. So we've got one college taken care of. The other one is UNLV. Those are the only two major colleges in Nevada. And then we have a couple of pro sports teams, and that's it. So we're going to take our tour to a few geographical sites, starting with Lake Tahoe, which is basically up in the mountains to the right of us here. And I don't think I realized how close Lake Tahoe was to Reno. I actually thought it was quite a ways south of Reno, but it's not that far. And I know Carson City is down this way, the capital of Nevada. Not a huge city. Always interesting when the capital of a state is not a really big city. Like Sacramento is not anywhere near the biggest city in California, obviously, but they're the capital. Carson City, the capital of Nevada. But Lake Tahoe up here in the top of these mountains, it just looks like it almost looks like a dam. It's like a big cereal bowl full of water or something. It's like if there was an earthquake, like Lake Tahoe would just flood the valley down there and bury Reno in water. I don't know. It's just, I guess I just didn't realize the layout of the land right here looked like this, I guess. It was kind of a surprise to me. I've never been to Lake Tahoe, despite going to Reno several times. Sometimes just passing through Reno on the way to California, San Francisco, Oakland area. Sometimes Reno has been the destination for basketball games, usually. The old WAC tournament was played there. Actually, the Big West tournament was played there one year in the late 90s. I remember my dad and my brother went to it. I was living in Minnesota at the time, so I didn't go to that one. But I do remember them having a Big West tournament at LAWLOR Event Center. And you can see the South Lake Tahoe Airport straight ahead. Beautiful area. And I'm sure this runway gets a few celebrities having their private jets and stuff land. Well, we're landing in a small airplane, I think we're in the Cirrus. And we're going to be changing aircraft here because Vegas is a ways away, and I want to get there as quickly as we can, so we're going to take the Citation again. We're kind of settling into a couple of main aircraft here. The Cirrus for short trips, and the Citation CJ4 for longer trips. And it's because I'm just getting more used to them, so I know them better and can do a better job flying them, actually. So some of the instruments and the, I don't know what you call them, the data panels, the screens you see there in front, they're different in every aircraft, so it takes a little bit of hands-on learning, and I don't have the patience for that as much in this series. I want to stick with some airplanes that I know, so we're going to get those most of the time. We'll change it up sometimes, but for the most part, our short trips will be in the Cirrus, our long trips will be in the Citation. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here, try to speed up this landing so we can get in that Citation and get headed south towards Vegas. Thought this was a really pretty landing. We come over a little stream, forested area off to the left. Probably not cheap to live in South Lake Tahoe. A few houses, probably a lot of tourism, or obviously a big tourist area. But I love seeing the view around the airports, the view as you're coming in to land. Like, that's always one of the funnest times in a trip, or funnest, maybe not funnest, but the coolest parts of the flight is watching out the window as you come into the city that you're going to while the plane is landing. I don't know what it is about that, but some areas are just cooler than others. Some airports have a cooler layout than others. We were coming down a little fast right there, but able to slow it down and actually put this plane down pretty softly. I'm no professional. I'm just an amateur. Obviously, I've never flown a plane, but I like to mess around with Flight Simulator, and I know just enough. I know just enough to be able to do it, but not do it perfectly every time. So, like, I know the basics. Alright, we're going to park this plane and jump over to the Cessna Citation CJ4. And we'll take off heading south, make our way down to Las Vegas. There you can see the leg from South Lake Tahoe to Las Vegas. And here we go. Lake Tahoe is behind us. We are heading south. We're going to check out Vegas. We're actually going to end this episode in the next state that we'll be going through, which will be Utah. So we're going to actually, for the first time, end an episode in the next episode state. I think it's the first time that we've done that. Usually we've ended at the last stop in the state that we're in, but this time I just wanted to get out ahead of it, and we're fairly close in Vegas to the first stop that we want to make in Utah. So we will just go ahead and get to that spot. There's a nice golf course down below us. Enjoy the green while we've got it, because we are very soon to be out of anything green and over the top of the desert. Starting to gain altitude, 9,300 feet. Turning left here to head out of the Sierra Nevadas into the desert. And I'm sure our cruising altitude, we don't have our altimeters or our altitude hold set at the moment, but I'm sure it's up around 33,000 feet, something like that. There's one last look at Lake Tahoe back there. That was going to be the site of the Winter Classic that got canceled in the NHL. I think they canceled it, didn't they? They were at least talking about it. I lost track. Alright, so we're out of the Sierra Nevadas. We are at an altitude of 30,600 feet, flight level 306. Cruising over the desert, heading towards Vegas. 60.7 miles away right here. So we obviously skipped ahead. "48 miles away from Vegas." Pretty barren. Nevada is pretty barren, although I did read something once that Nevada is actually the most mountainous state in the United States. Like, more mountain ranges in Nevada than in any other state, which is very interesting. But when you look at a map, you can see that there really is a ton of mountain ranges. A lot of them are just in the desert. Alright, we're on the outskirts of North Las Vegas here. Coming into Vegas, starting our descent. Actually, we're about midway through our descent into Las Vegas. Could be landing at, is it McLaren International Airport? I think it's McLaren International Airport, if I remember right. The Air Force Base is Nellis Air Force Base. We could have landed there. I think they do have a runway at Nellis on Flight Simulator. I don't know. I chose to land at the International Airport. Later on in the series, as I get a little bit better with landing, we're going to be landing in some different areas that might be a little more tricky, or ones that I think look more scenic. Taking a few more chances. Right now I'm just basically trying to practice my landing skills, which are not great at the moment. But we haven't crashed yet. If I do crash, I'll leave it. I'll show you. I'll show you the crash. I'm not trying to like prove I'm a great pilot or anything. I'll show you the crash if I crash. All right. Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the UNLV Rebels. And here we come. The airport just to the south of the Strip. And the airport is actually really close to all of the sports venues in Las Vegas. Super close to all of them, actually. Since UNLV moved to Allegiant Stadium to share with the Raiders, that makes all of them right downtown in Las Vegas. Sam Boyd Stadium was a little ways out, and I think that they hoped by moving to Allegiant Stadium they'd get better attendance, because Sam Boyd was just a little bit out of the way. But first off, they've got to field a better football team. They made strides this year. They got over the hump and got a couple of wins. Luckily not against my team. They almost beat us, though. Dang near beat us. What the crap? There's an airplane on the runway. That is almost exactly what happened when I flew to San Diego with my uncle. We were coming into land and some guy pulled out on the runway like that. And we just like landed over the top of him. And the guy was getting screamed at by the air traffic controller to get off the runway. It was crazy. It was kind of wild, actually. But that was exactly like it. That looked just like it. All right. So we're in Vegas. No, I don't know what I was doing with this map here, but we're going to start off looking at the Raiders Stadium, Allegiant Stadium. UNLV plays football there. Then we're going to get the Golden Knights. And then, yeah, I didn't do this map the way I usually do. I cut up the wrong part. Anyway, going to go over to Thomas and Mack. So I'm basically showing you as I'm setting it up instead of setting it up and then showing you. And then we're going to go up the Strip and just take one flight up the Strip before we head out of Vegas. So we'll go up the Strip up to about right here. Let's take a look at some of the casinos and the Stratosphere. And then we're going to come down to Lake Mead and just take a look at Hoover Dam real quick. Just one scenic spot. Since there's not a whole lot of sports teams in Nevada, we looked at Lake Tahoe, then we'll look at Hoover Dam and Lake Mead, and then we'll go land in southern Utah. So we are back in a smaller plane. I don't think this is the Cirrus. Maybe it is. Yeah, it is. Never mind. This is the Cirrus. We're back in our familiar Cirrus aircraft. There's a jet waiting to get on the runway. All right, so there's the Strip right there. The airport right by it. And first off, we're going to go take a look at Allegiant Stadium. Obviously, we have talked about this in every single episode so far. This map is old. They made this game from Bing Maps, which hasn't been updated in a while. If they would have used Google Maps, it would have been more updated. So hopefully Bing... So Allegiant Stadium is under construction there. You can see the construction site with the oval. That is Allegiant Stadium. The spot that Allegiant Stadium now stands, anyway, is right there. It's just under construction at this point in time when the map satellite photograph imagery was taken. And it's the same situation with T-Mobile Arena, the home of the Golden Knights. We're just going to show you where the arena is because it's not there on this map. There it is. That's where it is right now. Basically, kitty corner from Excalibur Casino. Now the arrow's not pointing at it. Don't follow the arrow there. Basically, right off of our tail right there. That is where T-Mobile Arena is. Home of the Vegas Golden Knights. So those two are out of the way. Now all we've got left is the Thomas and Mack Center. And it's right here as well. Just right by the airport. Thomas and Mack Center. The home, that used to be a crazy venue back in the Runnin' Rebels days of Jerry Tarkanian and the Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony, Anderson Hunt. Crazy good teams back then. I know Utah State got in a huge fight with that UNLV team that won the national championship. There was like haymakers thrown. One of the UNLV players punched Utah State's head coach. Look it up. Get on YouTube and look up UNLV versus Utah State fight or brawl or whatever. I don't know what it's labeled as, but you'll find it. You'll find the footage of the Utah State UNLV fight. And I know at one point the announcers are yelling like, somebody just punched Coach Smith. It was probably Moses Scurry. That's probably who it was that punched him. That guy is in prison for murder right now, actually. Sad story. Thomas and Mack Center. Right there. Basically right by the runways. You can see the runways off of the parking lots of Thomas and Mack Center. Lots of history there at the Thomas and Mack. Mountain West Tournament is held there every year. Utah State's raised the banner a couple of times, cut down the nets a couple of times at Thomas and Mack. All right, there's the Luxor, the Pyramid Hotel right there. The Excalibur Casino Hotel. New York is right off of our left wing, and just to the left of that is where T-Mobile Arena now stands, just behind New York. I don't know all of these, I just recognize a few of them. I think we see the Mirage up here. I can't remember what the one with the Eiffel Tower is called. Can't remember that one. I think there's the Mirage, I believe. Yep, that's the Mirage right there. Off to the left, the Mirage. You can see the writing on the building. Treasure Island, okay. Couple of the Wynn casinos. And now we're heading straight up the strip at the Stratosphere.
500.
The guy that built the ride up at the top of the Stratosphere is actually from Logan, Utah. And he actually passed away last week. Crazy. There's Circus Circus. There's a Circus Circus in Reno and a Circus Circus in Las Vegas. We fly between some buildings. So yeah, up at the top of the Stratosphere, there's like one of those like drop things where they... Yeah. The guy from Logan designed those and got rich off of them, but he just passed away last week. That's too bad. Alright. So that's basically the strip right there that we just went down. Sin City. We'll take one last look at it behind us. And we're going to make a sharp right here. I don't know if I show it to you or not. But we make a sharp right and start heading to the southeast. And look at the dam that powers Las Vegas. And more than Las Vegas, I think. Hoover Dam. Lake Mead supplies a lot of the water, I believe. Lake Mead and Hoover Dam is on the Colorado River. One of a few dams along the Colorado River. I know Glen Canyon Dam in Utah, Lake Powell. We won't see that on our trip through Utah. That's a little bit too far out of the way. But there's Lake Mead. And Lake Mead's pretty good size, so there's several little arms and stuff that go up into the canyons of Lake Mead. And there's one narrow one where they built Hoover Dam. And we are circling around right now. We'll drop right down into this little canyon, fly right up under the dam, and then over it, and then we'll head north and go land in St. George, Utah. Alright, the dam's starting to come into view. We're actually going to fly under the bridge, and then we'll fly over the top of the dam. And then we'll get out of the little canyon and make a sharp left. Head up to Utah for the next episode of our journey through my home state of Utah. That one will be fun. Look forward to that one. So you go under the bridge, up over Hoover Dam, and here is Lake Mead. This game's incredible, guys. I mean, it is just incredible how far they've come in a decade. Alright, we're headed to St. George, 73 miles away. Obviously, I'm going to cut this up quite a bit so you don't have to endure all of it. Now we're getting a little closer, 40 miles away. I think it's about a 2-hour drive, an hour and a half drive, something like that, from St. George to Vegas. And now we're coming into St. George here. So that was a pretty abbreviated flight to St. George. So we are through with Nevada. We're out of Nevada. We're into Utah. That'll be our next episode. But first we got to put this thing down in St. George. And I flew to St. George from Nevada because there's a lot in Utah that I want to show you. And I won't go overboard, but I guess I just show a little more of my flights in Utah than I have in some places. But it's all interesting. So there's the airport in St. George. They actually have moved it. It used to be basically right by on like a little plateau that overlooked the town, like looking right down into the town. It's where it used to be when I've flown in there with my uncle. But they have a new spot for the airport now. They've closed that one down. Can't remember what they did. If like somebody privately owns the old airport, I don't know. But it was a fun airport to fly into. And this one's just out a little ways out of the way on the southeast side of town. My parents are actually living in St. George right now for the winter. So we'll come in, we'll land here, we'll call it a day, then pick things up where we left off in our next episode. Of the American sports landscape. This isn't nearly as scenic as flying into South Lake Tahoe was. I guess it is, it's just it's different. Alright, we're almost down in St. George. We've covered a lot of territory. We started this episode in Sacramento, flew south all the way through Nevada, and we're going to put it down. This might be the only episode that we're in 3 states. I'm sure there'll be another one. There's so many states we got to get to, but this is the first one so far where we have been in 3 different states. All right, put it down already. My goodness, land. That was a terrible landing, guys. But we're down. Get better next time. So I think I do the whole Utah episode in just one flight. I think there's 1 takeoff and 1 landing in the entire Utah episode. And that might be actually a first. Actually, Wyoming. The very first one was 1 takeoff, 1 landing. Every other one has had a couple of places that we've taken off and landed from. I think, no, actually Colorado was like that too. Anyway, that's Nevada here on the American Sports Landscape. It's Mama's Basement Sports Gaming Microsoft Flight Simulator.